Good morning. So, welcome if you can join us live. This is the next episode in Confidence Conversations. It's the IG Live series all about confidence, all about busting myths on confidence, all about thinking how can we grow confidence, because as we know, confidence is something that we aren't just born with, it's something that we grow. So Sarah's my guest today. She'll be joining me in a moment. We'll just wait for the connection and then we'll be live together. So thank you for being here. So yeah, she'll be connecting. If you've got any questions, let Sarah and I know and we'll try our best to answer them.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
How are you
I'm
doing?
good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good.
Lovely to see you properly.
You too.
Amazing. So do you want to do a little bit of an introduction to you and share your magic and gifts and tell everyone how wonderful you are?
I will try. Yeah, so I'm Sarah, and I kind of go by Self-Love Sarah, because if I was a stick of rock and you broke me open, I would say self-love all the way down the
Mm.
centre because it's just who I am, what I do, what I'm all about. Um, so yeah, so originally I brought my self-love into yoga. So I trained as a yoga teacher. So I specifically teach self-love and kind of body acceptance yoga. And then that's just kind of grown over the years into retreats, which are my absolute favorite thing to do in the whole world,
Yeah,
is run self-love retreats and workshops and coaching and yeah, just all the things, all the
amazing.
things self-love. I just try and help women in particular to add more self-love into their lives. And
Amazing.
I think like my kind of journey with self-love over the years and what I kind of learned self-love to be has changed a lot. So when I first started, I was very much like self-love is this and it's this and it isn't this and it isn't this. And over the years, I've very much kind of realized that self-love is so unique
Mm,
and different to the individual. So now I more try and help women find their own definition of self-love and their own unique self-love practice and yeah, and add that more into their lives. In a
amazing.
nutshell.
Amazing. Oh, thank you for sharing. That's amazing. I was writing so many things down then when you were speaking, just like things that I thought, oh, that absolutely leads into our conversation today about confidence and how self love goes hand in hand with that, and how that can the more self love we have, the more confident we can feel. Through self love practices, we can grow confidence.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure all of that will come into our conversation today.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got kind of like a loose structure for our conversation, but I have got a few extra questions as well that we can chat through together
Yeah.
towards the end. So the whole like ethos of this series is about busting myths on confidence, talking more about what confidence means for both of us, and picking out kind of shared similarities. Because I always think what's most personal is actually what's most universal. So often we can think we're the only ones that are struggling with something. So the whole idea of this is to kind of pick out the things that are similar, or to shed light on the myths, to talk about how we have grown confidence and how that's possible. So it's not just something we're just born with, it's something that we can work on, we can build, we can absolutely do something about that if we want to feel more confident. So, yeah. So, with that in mind, if you circle kind of right back in your mind, do you want to share anything about your own journey with confidence?
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
as a child, I was so confident. Like I was that outgoing,
Mm,
sassy, loud, confident child.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, and I just remember doing like dance and I'd make up dance routines and I would like perform on the school field, like songs and I was so confident. I just was that child when I was younger. And then I can kind of pinpoint the exact moment that my confidence went And it was when I was 11, and it
Okay.
was at our year 6 leavers barbecue, and I had like really dressed up for it. So I had like my Tammy girl outfit on, and yeah,
Tammy
Tammy
girl.
girl,
Yeah.
Tammy girl, throwback there. And my mum had let me put some makeup on, which I was so excited about. So I put this like blusher and this lipstick on, and then I got to school, and then some of the girls, as I was going in, like stopped me and were like, "Oh my God, like, what are you wearing? What are you doing? Like, why do you have makeup on? Like, you look ridiculous." And that was it. That was the moment that I just went, "Oh," and that light, that inner light, I just switched it off, and I was like, I do not want to feel like that ever again. And that was it. So I completely dimmed my light, like through secondary school, through college, through uni, through my early 20s. Like that one like instant had that impact for that amount of time. And I really tried not to be the center of attention all the time. And the only kind of outlet for my confidence I had was drama. So I did drama at school, loved it. I did uh, performance studies at college, and then I went to uni and did performing arts at uni as well. And I
Yeah.
think like that was my outlet for my confidence, and it's suddenly like that was the only outlet I had for my confidence, because outside of that I very much like had dimmed myself to fit in really with everybody else. And so yeah, that was the only outlet for my confidence. And then yeah, 24 years old, I discovered self-love, and it was this like term that I had just never really heard of before.
Yeah.
Um, and that was it. It was like a complete catalyst. It was a complete light bulb moment, and
Wow.
I just immersed myself in the self-love community. So read so many books, followed all like the self-love coaches, went on self-love retreats, the self-love workshops, and that was it. I was just like, yes, there I am. There I am
Wow.
again. I found myself again. And with that
Wow.
came my confidence. My confidence came back, and it just grew and grew and grew the more I practiced self-love. And so many things, so many amazing positive things happened to me as a result of that. So I quit my job that I was just miserable in. It gave me the confidence to quit my job, to start my own business, to become a yoga teacher, to
Wow.
put up boundaries in my life. I traveled to Bali alone. I started wearing the clothes that I wanted to wear and listening to the music I wanted to listen to. And I was just completely able to be my authentic self. And I guess like the biggest kind of form of confidence that self-love gave me was body confidence. So someone that has probably since 11 years old, tried to be smaller, to lose weight, all the diets. Like, I remember
Yeah.
starting secondary school in year 7, so I was like 11, 12, and thinking like, right, I've got 5 years to get thinner so I can wear a nice prom dress in year 11. And like,
Gosh.
that's just mad to think back. Like I was
Wow.
11 or 12 years old, like, and like if that was my daughter, like I would be mortified.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's yeah, the self-love gave me the body confidence, the confidence to, like I said, to wear the clothes, to not care what size I am, what the number on the scales is. And yeah, just to really kind of accept my body and put my body out there, which is, I very
Yes.
much, and I go through waves. So don't get me wrong, like I still have terrible body image days some days, because it's not something that's ever going to be a magic fix, because we're so conditioned, obviously, from such a young age by society to think, thinner or smaller is better. Um,
Yes.
so I still have those days, of course, but I also have self-love tools to help me on those days. And I
Yes.
quite often put out, photos of me in a bikini, or, photos of stretch marks, or my tummy rolls or something like that, because I have the confidence to do that now. And hopefully it will help other women in particular to have the confidence to do the same, to be like, this is what my body looks like. And it's okay. And it's
Yes.
okay to feel confident in the body that you have.
Yeah.
So that's where I am. That's my
Wow.
very up and down, topsy-turvy journey with confidence. But yeah, the
Amazing.
the ultimate catalyst for bringing back my confidence was self-love.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow. I am a reflector, so I always like reflect and take
Okay.
in and kind of like absorbing what you're saying. And it's kind of
Mm.
like, not in human design, I'm a projector, but reflect when I hear pieces of information.
Projector too.
Yeah, I know that about you. That's why I was so excited to have our
Yeah.
conversation. Um, but there's so many pieces of magic and wisdom that you shared then that I didn't want to lose, because I think you shared so vulnerably and eloquently and openly, which I'm very grateful for, first of all, because that's you sharing your light and you would gift that to me and everybody listening. So I just wanted to honor that and acknowledge that, first of all.
Oh, thank
So
you.
thank you.
No, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for giving me the space to share it. Yeah, and it's part of the journey is being my authentic self. So being able
Yes.
to share my story and not being afraid to share it. And
Mm,
yeah, I've done a lot of work over the last, seven odd years
yeah.
into self-love, and what kind of triggered like the lack of self-love that I had for so many years. And yeah, so
Mm,
if I could, my life mission is if I can just help one woman,
yes.
to kind of embrace and embrace herself, accept herself, possibly even love herself, then that's I will consider myself job well
Yes.
done.
Yeah. And you will be through this, already. There'll be
Mm,
people watching this, and me, you're inspiring so much how you are sharing your light and your magic and your journey. And the incredible awareness you had about what was happening for you. I can really hear that. And then the that inner kind of drive in you to make a change, so you could be, as you use those words, immerse yourself in that self-love world, and went on the self-love retreats, followed the self-love coaches, worked with those people, so you could so you could change that for you, so you could grow that, so you could feel
mm,
differently, and so you could get your light back ultimately.
yeah,
So that is, what a journey.
yeah.
What a journey.
It's definitely
Yeah,
been a journey.
massive
Yeah.
journey. So when you think about the biggest like myths, or the
Mm,
biggest things that you like have come across in your own journey, or you see with like your clients on your retreats and
mm.
things, does one come to mind? So maybe one around confidence, or maybe self-love, because as we know, they go hand in hand, but let's kind of bust them. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the biggest myth,
Mm,
although it's probably even like more than a myth, it's like a societal norm almost, is the idea that people in larger bodies can't be confident or
mm,
shouldn't be confident. I think is probably, yeah, one of the biggest kind of things that I come across.
yeah.
It's almost like if you're in a larger body, how dare you be confident? You should be aiming to make yourself smaller. There's the whole kind of idea of, oh, I'll be more confident when I've lost weight. I'll be this when I'm
Yes.
smaller. I can do this when I'm smaller. And I
Yeah.
think those people, myself included, that kind of make that actually, no, I'm going to be confident now in the body that I'm in. I
Yes.
think that's really like almost triggering for a lot of people, because they think, oh my gosh, like I can't be confident in a larger body, so you shouldn't be able to be confident too. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of,
Mm,
it's almost like that fear, isn't it? That fear of like,
yeah.
oh gosh, like no, like I can't be confident. I'm not allowed to be confident in this bigger
Yes.
body.
Yeah. A fear,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
definitely like the biggest thing I come across is usually to do with like body image, weight, size, the idea of being in a larger body. And it's incredible because the women that I've worked with through coaching and retreats mainly, like seeing that transformation, like particularly like for example, on our Portugal retreat, like seeing someone that's so like all about their body, and then like by the end of the retreat, just like being there by the pool in their bikini and just really not caring, like just seeing those transformations, I'm like,
Yes.
yes, that is what I'm all
Amazing.
about. Just like this is our body. It's not an ornament, it's a vessel. It's our vessel
Mm,
through life. Our bodies aren't who we are. Like who we are is on the inside.
yes.
Our bodies are our vehicles, like carrying us
Yeah.
through life, and
Yes.
they don't define our worth.
Mm,
And I think that's the massive problem with society, isn't it? And the fact that you deem to be more worthy when you're in a smaller body, and it's just so wrong.
yeah.
Um, so
Agreed.
yeah, so I just think that, like I said, it's so much more than a myth almost. It's like this
Yeah.
kind of societal norm that we've just accepted from birth, that Yeah, people in larger bodies don't deserve to be confident, but I know some amazing women in larger bodies that are so confident. And like I
Yeah.
said, I think that's why people don't like, well, some people, don't like it, because they're like, oh no, you're not allowed to be confident in a larger body. And that's what probably triggers, like, the
Yeah.
trolling and the comments on social media that people in larger bodies get, because it's like their own insecurity that they are
Yes.
projecting. So
So true.
yeah.
I agree with completely with what you're saying, because I
Mm,
always think that our bodies are our teammates. That's always my mantra,
mm,
my motto.
mm-hmm,
My body is my teammate,
mm-hmm,
supporting me through life,
mm-hmm.
working with me.
Yeah.
And when you were speaking then, I think, to bust the myth on the other side, because I know I've done a lot of work with people kind of in, I guess, the fitness world, or into
Mm,
like personal training, that
yeah.
kind of thing. I think the two sides, there's absolutely that myth that you're saying, that people in bigger bodies can't be confident. But then I
Mm-hmm.
think aiming for zero body fat, that isn't going to make us confident either.
Nope.
So I think bringing
Yeah,
that in, because as you were saying then, it's about how we feel on the inside. It's
absolutely.
about
Like,
who we are as people. Yeah,
100%, because I've been that person, I have been a array of sizes, I've slimmed right
yeah,
down. Like when I got married, and this was before, like just before I found self-love, when I got
yeah,
married, like I crash dieted, starved myself, over
mm,
exercised to slim down for my wedding.
wow,
And I can quite happily say that, like, I was no happier at my smaller size than I have been at my larger size. Like
yeah,
it really is it's an inner fix. It's the inner work. It's not actually
yes,
anything to do with how you look on the outside. Like the way you look on the outside is a projection of what's happening on the inside. So it
yes,
is like
definitely.
it's an inside out kind of job, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
But
the inner
yeah,
work is the work.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I can, put my hands up and quite honestly, truthfully say, like, you will not be happier. People think like, oh, I'll be happier when I'm this size. You won't. You really won't, because all that other stuff that's going on will still be there,
yeah,
and you'll get to that size, and then there'll be something else you want to change, something else you
yeah,
want to change. And I think, yeah, like my message is like, you deserve and you can be confident at the size you are now. Like,
yes,
you deserve to wear the clothes, to eat the food, to do the stuff at the size that you are now. You don't have to wait to be smaller or change your body in any way. Like, life is too short. Life is passing us by. Like, we just need to live our life in the body that we are now, because
mm,
otherwise we're just missing out on all the joy.
yeah,
We're missing out on so many glimmers and so many joyful moments, because
yes,
we don't think we deserve them at the size that we are. So yeah, that would be my main takeaway from this live for today, would
yeah,
be like, you deserve to be confident. You deserve all the things that you want at the size that you are
yes, yeah, all of that. I loved
now.
everything that you said, just
Yeah.
echoing everything you said. Yeah, incredible. I think it's so true, isn't it? And I think if we can start to really kind of embrace that and embody that and
Mm,
really do that inner work, then everything else
yeah,
changes.
definitely.
So thank you for busting that myth. And it sounds like
You're welcome.
magical work on the retreats, where the women at the end are just
Mm,
being. To me, it was like the body's the least interesting thing about them. The way that they
literally
look is the
this.
least interesting
That's like
thing.
one of my favorite mantras
Yeah.
ever. Like, my body is the least interesting thing about me.
Yes.
There's so many
Yeah.
more interesting things about me that I can talk
Yes.
about than the way I look. So yeah, that's like one of my
100%.
favorite mantras
Yeah.
ever. And your mantra that you mentioned about, oh, what was your mantra that you mentioned before?
Was
I have a
it
similar one.
my,
What?
I said my body is my
Yeah.
teammate.
So
Yeah.
mine is like, my body is my ally.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Very
Like, it's
similar.
not
Yeah.
working against my body, it's working with my body. It's on
With,
it's on the same team as me. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Supporting you to live your life.
absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. So aligned. I love that. So let's
Yeah.
circle forward then and think about practices. So when you think
Mm,
about, I really want people to have like tangible, workable practices. And
yeah.
obviously, we'll know that things that you might do might be different to what I might do, or might be different to people listening. But I think the more kind of tools or practices and how they've
Mm,
helped, I'd love us to open up that conversation.
yeah.
So where does your mind go? Like the first tool or practice that you've embodied?
So I think practicing authenticity. So coming back to your authentic self, really getting to know your authentic self and
Mm,
what you like and what you don't like. So I remember when I kind of first entered the world of self-love, I think one of the first practices I did with a coach was like a mind map, and I put
mm,
myself in the middle, and then she just made me like mind map everything that is
mm,
me. And I
mm.
would like fill it in, and then she'd be like, okay, more, and I'd be like, oh, I can't think of anything more. She'd be like, more, and I'd be like, and she like, not obviously she made me, but she encouraged me to sit there
Equation.
until that page was full, and I did it. And then I realized like all these things about me that I kind of had forgotten and like kind of not like done recently and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember I used to do that and I loved it, and I'm going to start doing that again. So that was like one of
Mm,
the very first kind of things I did to come back to my authentic self. And then she encouraged me to kind
mm.
of realize that anything that's not on that piece of paper is a no. So everything on that piece of
Yes.
paper I'm aligned with, it's a yes. And if anything comes up in life not on that piece of paper,
Yeah.
it's a no.
No time.
Which I absolutely love. And then the
Mm.
great thing is, like, I still have that piece of paper. I think I've like reworked it a lot now, but that's the point. Like, you can just keep adding to it and taking things off it,
Yes.
um,
The
and
more you
as you grow,
become, yeah.
exactly, you grow
The
and
more
you
you
evolve and
become,
you change and you like more
yeah.
things and you don't like things anymore. Um,
Mm.
and I think that is, um, that was the kind of the first thing I do. And then, like, more
Yep.
recently, what I've been kind of sharing with my clients is um, values. So getting really clear on
Mm.
what your values are. So kind of starting to think about, okay, what do I stand for? Like, what's a non-negotiable for me? What do I truly believe? Like, what am I aligned with? What am I not aligned with?
Yeah.
So I have like really clear values of who I am, and like I said, anything that's not within those values that doesn't resonate is a no.
Mm.
So my values, off the top of my head, I've got
Yeah.
five. So my values are authenticity, self-love, compassion, inclusivity, and community. And that is me, that is who I am, and that's what I strongly
Mm.
believe in. So anything that doesn't fall within those values is a no. And that's why it makes it really easy for me to say no and create
Yeah.
boundaries and things. So like the easiest example I can think of
Yep.
is with my yoga teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So over the years, so I'm like 7 years,
Yeah.
6 years into being a yoga teacher now,
Yeah.
and I've been asked several times over the years to teach in gyms, yoga classes in
Okay.
gyms, and
Yeah.
it doesn't align with me. To me, like, yoga is not an exercise practice.
Yeah.
It's not about the physical, like, it's a part of it. It's not what yoga's about. Yoga's a spiritual practice.
Mm.
It's much more than that. It's mind, it's body, it's breath, it's union, it's self-love, it's all of this.
Yeah.
So over the years, when I've been asked to cover or teach in gyms, it's always a no, because it feels yucky, it feels icky to me. I'm like, I don't want
Yes.
to do it, and like I'm not dissing anyone that does it, because yoga is different for everybody, and if people want to teach in gyms, great, you do you, good for you. But to me, it's a no. So
Mm.
that's like kind of an example of where I let my authentic self in.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, I might be like, oh yeah, I'll cover that class, I'll do that class because it'll get me more clients or more money and whatever. But I'm just
Mm.
like, no, that's an opportunity I don't feel aligned with, so I'm not going to take it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's fun.
authenticity, and just
Mm.
being really clear with your authentic self, and it does mean spending a lot of
Love that.
time alone with yourself as well,
Mm.
which can be really hard. It can be really, really hard, but that's kind of how I've practiced authenticity over the
Yeah.
years, and how I encourage others to do so now. So that would be kind of like my first thing.
Yeah.
And then I guess positive self-talk affirmations are
Mm.
just
Yeah.
amazing and so vital in my life. So having them just everywhere, like I'm sat at my desk now and I've got about six in front of me right now that I
Yeah.
can just see from here.
Same.
That I can, and yeah, and it's just having them where you can see them every day. So like I said, now sat at my desk, around my bathroom mirror, on the fridge, on my phone background, my laptop background,
Yes.
all those things. I have, yeah, and like passwords as well. Like, having, that's one of my favorite new ones, is your passwords for things like on the computer and apps and things like that, like make it
Yeah,
a affirmation,
an
because then you
affirmation.
type it in, lots, and you're affirming it all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
positive self-talk affirmations. Like I have like mantra cards and oracle cards and regularly everywhere in my life that I can see, and that just kind of helps me. It's like that kind of idea of, what you consume you are. So the more that I
Mm,
see those and consume them, the more they kind of get
yeah.
um absorbed into my
Yes.
being and part of my daily
Yeah.
self-talk. And
Yeah.
then
Love that.
and then the final thing, I guess, would be like thinking about people that you follow. So going back to that idea of like what you consume, so
Mm,
particularly around like social media, like following people that inspire me and do what I want to
yeah.
do is a great one. And then obviously the opposite of that, unfollowing anybody who makes me feel bad about
Yeah.
myself, question myself, or doubt myself.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, those would be kind of like my top three practices. So yeah, authenticity, affirmations, and then like the kind of following,
yeah.
unfollowing people idea.
Yes. Just scribbling those down. I
Yeah,
loved all of them, what you
I just
said
realized
there. Loved them
I
all.
just kind of like went blah, 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 but when it's in my head, it just has to come out.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it felt like. It was like a flow of
Yeah.
consciousness.
Mm.
But all of those amazing practices. And I really, in my head, when you were speaking, when we know our values and
Mm.
when we know our values, we can act from that authentic place. We can then have those foundations in our life that feel like firm or concrete, and
Yeah,
we can build up from them.
absolutely.
And then, as you were saying, that translates into real life examples, doesn't it? We can
Yeah.
say yes to things that feel aligned and therefore will make us feel good,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore we'll feel confident doing, or happy doing,
Mm-hmm.
and we won't have that bitterness. Or we can say no to
Yeah.
things that are outside of alignment
Yeah.
or outside of what's going to make us feel good and what we'll feel confident doing or what we'll be happy doing.
Yeah.
So it feels like we're talking about bigger picture pieces that absolutely link to confidence, but ultimately link to kind of like happiness or living in alignment or
Mm-hmm.
aligning our lives to kind of like our inner spirit or inner soul or
Yeah.
essence of who we are. It feels like
Absolutely.
bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's a nicer place to be.
Yeah.
As someone that's been like, well, someone that is in that place now, and
Yeah.
someone that's been in that place where everything just felt unaligned, and yeah, it's so much nicer to be in this place where your life just feels aligned and everything just kind of feels right.
Mm,
And then it makes it
mm.
very much easier then to kind of highlight the things that don't feel right and don't feel aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
I think something that's coming through in my head when I'm reflecting on this is it doesn't really feel eloquent or formed.
Mm.
But I think when we know our values and when we know who we are, that almost for me, I think creates like an inner peace. I can stand more firm in a way. I can feel more
Mm.
grounded. And therefore, that gives confidence. It's
Absolutely.
almost like I always think the calm and the confidence link together. So
100%.
that's where my mind's going with that. That
Mm.
practice would support that grounded level, like,
Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
know who I am. Therefore, I know how to operate. I know I can, and therefore encourage that
Yeah.
confidence.
I
Yeah,
agree, and I think people think like confidence means that you are outgoing and you're out
yeah.
there and you're loud and you're bubbly, and like there's something beautiful about that quiet confidence, of
Mm,
that I know who I am, I know what I stand for,
mm.
I know what I believe in, I know that this is the right decision for me. I don't have to justify that or explain that to anyone.
Yes,
I think that's a really beautiful type of confidence, that kind of more
true.
quiet confidence, like you said, that kind of calm, just
Mm,
being really grounded in who
mm.
you are and what you stand for and why you're here.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think it's almost like a knowing.
Mm.
I'd want us to like relabel that if we were putting a label and
Yeah.
thinking like and it's
Mm.
a knowing which gives you
Mm-hmm.
confidence.
Absolutely.
Which again is kind of like another myth, something that I always talk about and always so
Mm.
big on, that
Mm.
confidence isn't that kind of loudness. It can be if that's authentic
Yeah.
for that person. Again, going back to this authentic piece, but I
Yeah.
think real confidence is that just knowing who you are, that
Yeah.
like groundedness. You're not there to
Absolutely.
prove. You're not there to justify. You're not there to like over explain or people slip into people pleasing, which I see a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's kind of like, this is who I am, this is how I am, and this is kind of that confidence, that grounded, quiet, that grounded, calm nature. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Amazing. So then you were also sharing unfollowing and following inspirational accounts. Yeah, I love that. I love that because I always think we are what we consume. So if we're spending time consuming content that makes us feel like anxious or you know, inferior, fearful, not good enough, all the things, you know, we want to kind of be proactive and eliminate that as much as possible.
Absolutely. And that's why like I have a really good relationship now with like my numbers on social media. So if, like, you know, like your likes and your follows and things like that, because and actually like I now like welcome the unfollows and the unsubscribes. Like when I like look at my email statistics, it says like, oh, you know, 4 people unfollowed you from this email or unsubscribed. I'm like, amazing, good for them. Like I'm really glad that they felt like actually this isn't right for me, this isn't aligned with me, I'm not really here for this, I'm going to unfollow. Like to me that's like epic self-love. Like so I've really kind of like flipped that relationship where I'd be like, oh my gosh, like why are people unfollowing me, why don't people like me, to a place now where I'm like, oh, you unfollowed me, good for you.
Yes, so true. And I think that's the two sides, isn't it? It's kind of like good for that person, but also like an absolute representation of your own growth and your own mindset and your own self-confidence and self-love. And I always think that I think the people who are meant to be here will be here, they'll find me, will become aligned.
And
it's
that's
kind of like you'll
very
attract
much
that tribe.
the projector in you, very much like I'll just wait for the opportunities to come, like I just wait for the invitations of people that want to work with me. I'm not
I just keep
kind of,
showing up.
And that's again how I've very much changed like from self-love over the years. So very much gone from like trying to like make everybody practice self-love and everybody needs to be body positive and everybody, and actually now I'm just like, no, it's fine, like you do you. If you want to come work with me and like sharing what I do, great. If it's not for you, carry on, live your life, all the best.
And I think that's definitely, circling back to two things, definitely come to me more knowing about human design and kind of learning about that, but also circling back to the topic of this live, with being more confident and self-assured in what I do and what I'm here for. I think those things grow, don't they? So when we work on that inner confidence, we kind of like just showing up, just doing our thing, you know, we're just here. And it's not to say, again, making this like universal and personal, it's not to say that doesn't fluctuate, and you know, I don't have days where I think, oh, I don't want to be here, I'm not sure what to say, or all of the ebbs and flows that are natural in life.
Absolutely.
But it's,
I very much sorry,
I was just going to add a caveat to that, it's then using practices like this to kind of ground again, come back to that confidence, come back to that authentic self. So in my mind, I'm like trying to link all the pieces together that we're talking about and bring them to, you know, the topic. But you go, where did your mind go?
I was just gonna say, like, as I like really try and show like the bad days as well as the good days, because like I've followed people in the past that are very much like, I love myself and I love my body every single day, and there's never a single moment where I just don't love myself because I never have a bad body, and I'm just like, I really question it. I really question it because I just think we're human. Like it's not, surely it's not possible. Like surely, like, you know, we ebb and we flow, and
we do.
So that's why I very much like, you know, as a self-love coach and just all things self-love, I really try and show that I have days where like I find it really hard to love myself, and I find it really hard to be confident, and I find it really hard to like practice positive body image. And so I think it's really important that, you know, it's like practice what you preach, isn't it, I guess.
And I think that's important, knowing that it is a practice.
Absolutely.
Knowing that it is a practice, that we can't just,
not perfect, it's a practice.
And we can't just what's the word, I can't connect it in my head, neglect. We can't just
Mm.
neglect these practices. It's like a constant working. It's a constant, I always say to my clients, like a constant building of that muscle, that when we don't train that, or when we don't, for instance, if we don't go to the gym, or you didn't do
Yeah.
yoga for 6 months,
Yeah.
you wouldn't expect to just be that flexible still.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I really love
Yeah,
that. Oh, I might like steal that. Thank
yeah, you're
you. I
welcome.
might borrow
You
that
have
from
that.
you.
Yeah,
I love
but
that.
it's the same, isn't it? You know, the constant practices, and then
Yeah.
not missing the last one we talked about. There was this positive
Mm,
self-talk and positive
mm,
affirmations. Yeah, I'm such an advocate for this as well. Like
yeah.
behind my office, I've got all of them, like a big wall here with like
Yeah.
all lovely
Mm,
affirmations. And one of the things I invite my clients to do is to change the password. So when you mentioned that before, I was like, oh yeah, that's so valuable.
yeah.
Picking something empowering,
Mhm.
picking something that links to kind of, you know, that empowered version, which is what
Yeah.
I help my clients become, that most
Yeah.
empowered version of them. I
Absolutely.
loved what you said, because with them we're consuming it and it's sinking in.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
think how many times you have to put your passwords in and things. Like it's just that
yeah,
constantly
all the
just,
time.
reaffirming it, isn't it? Just
Mm,
constantly embodying that. And
amazing.
we teach it quite a lot. So myself
Yeah,
and my best friend Toya, who do our retreats, we teach a lot about manifesting.
yeah,
And one of our kind of like little tips for manifesting is like the thing that you're manifesting, like make it your password so that you like constantly are putting it out there into the universe so the universe can like hear it. And that's one of the things that we share is changing
yeah.
your password to that as well. So
Love
yeah. Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah, amazing. So, like a little question
Mhm.
that maybe we're not unprepared for, but we
Oh
just
gosh.
have on
Yeah.
this. Um, the question was, what does confidence feel and look like for both of us? So,
Ooh.
yeah, obviously
Ooh.
I've seen the question, so I literally before the live, I had
Mm.
2 minutes to think. But what comes up for me, my confidence, linking back, I guess, to what we were sharing before, is that stillness, that groundedness, that
Mm.
kind of presentness. I think confidence for me is kind of being grounded, calm,
Mm.
present, in the moment, flowing and being free,
Yeah.
kind of allowing whatever's in my mind to just come out.
Yeah.
Um, and having that like clarity and
Mm.
alertness, I think.
Mm.
So yeah, again, I hope removing any kind of myths around like this loud, brash nature or arrogance. It's just, for me, confidence is just like a still
Yeah.
knowing, a still being, that ability to be present and engage
Mm.
with whatever's
Mm.
happening for me in that moment, and just
Yeah.
like, yeah, being. Yeah. So where does your mind go when you think about what it is
So
for you?
I kind of feel like I have two. So like I feel like I definitely resonate with what you said and feeling that kind of quiet,
Yeah.
calm, confident
Mm,
that like
yeah.
happens, for example, like when I see a comment I don't agree with on social media and I can just be like, I'm just gonna scroll past that because I don't resonate with it. Do you know what I mean? So I have that. I think definitely I have that you spoke about, that calm, grounded, quiet
Yeah.
confidence. But then I also think I definitely have that more bubbly, sassy
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
dancing around to the Spice Girls in my bedroom
Mm,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
side
yeah.
as well. But I think the
Love
thing that
that.
stands out about both of those kind of personas or whatever you want to call them, I think the one thing that kind of connects both of those is that deep sense of alignment.
Yeah.
It just feels like, oh, I feel
Yeah.
like me. I feel like this is who I truly am. This is me being my complete authentic self. So yeah, I think
Yes.
the thing that connects, I have those two kinds of confidence personas,
Mm,
eras, and then
yeah.
yeah, the thing that connects them
Feels
is that just deep
good.
sense of alignment and authenticity.
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely. I loved what you said there. And I think for me, reflecting on that, I think for me, the piece is presence. So whether
mm,
it is kind of engaging in something like this, which where I'm grounded and calm, I'm present and we're in this
Yeah.
flow. Or the lovely example you gave about dancing around to the Spice Girls. I would still be in the present moment doing
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like getting out of your head, into your body, being present.
Yes.
So yeah, I also loved
Yeah.
what you said there, because I'm just kind of reflecting on that in my life, and
Yeah. Because
that piece
I
I think is presence. Yeah, you go.
yeah, 100%. And I definitely have that peaceful side, but I
Mm,
feel like when I'm dancing around in my bedroom to Spice Girls, I am like going back to that
yeah,
child that, that before I hit 11 and had that horrible incident. Like, I am that child, that sassy, outgoing, loud, confident
yes,
child who
just
back then
being.
would dance around in a bedroom to Spice Girls. So I think that
Yeah,
maybe that's why I mean, I love Spice Girls and all things 90s. And maybe that's why, because it just takes me back to um that child. I think that may be what it is like, and why I just love all things
yeah,
90s,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it just reminds me of that kid and allows me to be that child
yeah,
again. Oh, that's like a little,
yeah,
it's like therapy. It's like a little realization for me. That love that.
yeah.
Um,
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing, wonderful. So when you think about one piece of wisdom, one caveat,
Mm,
one piece of advice
hmm
that you'd love to share with people listening on this topic, can be on confidence, it can be on self-love, can be anything that you think,
mm.
I'd really want people to know this. What would you share?
I I would want people to know, don't dim to fit in.
Ah,
So
wow.
we all have this inner light. We all have this light, and we know it's there. It's this kind of representation of us, who we are. We have this inner light that shines, and we were all born with this light, and we all deserve to shine our own unique lights. And I believe the world needs this light. So once you decide to switch your light on and shine it bright, it's like a ripple effect all over the world.
Yeah,
It'll encourage other women to do the same, to switch their light on, to let them shine. And that's like the change we need to
true.
see in the world. So yeah, don't dim to fit in
I
would be
love
my one
that.
piece of advice.
Yeah, so powerful, isn't it?
Mm,
So powerful what you're saying. Don't dim, don't make yourself small. That's what I
take
was
up
hearing.
space, take
Take
up
up
your rightful
space.
space. You
Yeah,
deserve to.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
valid, you're valuable, your opinions are
hmm
valid. We
And
need
it will
you.
have, I just truly believe it will have that ripple effect
Yeah,
around the world. Like, I believe that, that's why I put myself out there the way I do. Like, hopefully it will encourage other women to do the same, and then people they know, and then people they know, and before you know it, it's just had this tidal
yeah,
wave effect all over the world, where women are actually like, no, I'm going to switch my light on, and I'm going to take up my
yes,
space, and I
yeah,
deserve to be me, and I don't have to be anything else other than myself.
yes. So, so powerful. So, so powerful. I love that. Thank you for sharing so beautifully today,
Oh, thank
and
you so much
all
for
of the
inviting me.
wisdom. Yeah, yeah, it's gone really quick actually.
Actually has, hasn't it?
Super quick, yeah. So is there anything else on this topic that's on your heart or in your mind that you want to share before we
Hmm.
conclude our conversation today?
I don't think so.
No?
I think everything we've kind of spoken about, and I just want to say thank you, because I feel like I've learned, so much from having this conversation with you. I think like my biggest two takeaways from having this chat with you is going to be that kind of idea of that quiet confidence, and just remembering that, I have that side, that confidence is that as well. It's not just the loud and the bubbly and the outgoing, and
Yeah.
so that's definitely going to be a big takeaway for me. And then that idea of the muscle, I love that, and I think that just can relate so much to self-love, as self-love being like a muscle. And
Awesome.
if we don't use it, we don't practice it, then it's not going to be strong. But the more we use it and the more we practice it, it's just going to be stronger.
So
So
true.
I'm going to borrow that, and I'm going to quote you and credit you on that, and I'm going to
Ah,
borrow it. Thank you,
credit
because that
me.
is, I
You're
love
welcome.
that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for gifting that back to me. You're welcome. I'm just thinking about my takeaways. Um, I think my takeaways are, I'm sure I will have more because they just come to me. I'm like one of them people that I'll go on a dog walk in a minute
Yeah,
before I start my clients, and I'll be
yeah,
like, oh, that was a piece of
yeah,
wisdom. That was a
yeah.
nugget. But I loved this idea of the importance of the value work. That was like
Mm,
a really lovely reminder about getting these values, knowing who you are, working on that, and actually that being a proactive piece that we can all do. Start to think about what our values are, And then, as I was saying to you, in my mind, it's almost the foundation for the house, the
Yeah.
foundation for the light, the foundation for the essence of the authenticity. And I also think, very similar to what you're sharing, is your takeaway. I also think those different personas or different elements of where confidence can be, and how they actually are formed by the same essence, I think, for me,
Mm.
which is that presence piece. Yeah. And obviously the takeaway about don't dim to fit in. That's just magical. I think we all always need that reminder.
It's
Take
such a
up
lovely
space.
one. So that
Yeah.
one, that one's come from a beautiful, beautiful author who I absolutely love called Rebecca Campbell. I don't know if
Yeah. Yeah. I've
yeah,
got her card deck behind me.
yeah, yeah.
Literally my
And
eyeline.
me too, literally, it's like right
Yeah.
there, and her book right there.
Mm.
And yeah, she's got some fantastic
Yeah.
books and things. But yeah, I think I must have read that in her first book, I think Light is the New Black. And
Yes.
she just beautifully, like she's so much more eloquently than I can, but she's so amazing in how she words it, this idea of like, how unique we all are and shining our light. And yeah, so yeah, I think that one definitely came from her. But it's one that's just stuck
Yeah.
with me for life. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's a
Mm,
prompt for me, I think, to reread her book.
mm.
Yeah.
I think I
That,
lent mine out to someone, and now I'm trying to think, who did I lend that out
yeah.
to? Because I want it back.
Let this be a public announcement
Yeah.
to get it back. Amazing. Well, thank you so, so much for gifting us your time and
Thank
wisdom.
you. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
you're welcome. And thank you to everyone who's watched and has been engaging and the questions. Yeah, we're grateful to have you. Okay. Have a
You
wonderful day. All
too.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.